Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. So today was a wild day in the markets. China provided that their economy is slowing down, so that freaked everybody else out and around the world. So the markets were down. Bitcoin was also down today. It's up a little bit right now in the after hours or in the new hours. And then the miners were down for the most part, except for like one or two were actually up today. But we're really going to just talk about Digihost. They reported their quarterly results along with Sphere 3D. So these are the two of the smallest miners that we pretty much cover here. They're like at 1 exahash, one something combined. Each of them are about 1 exahash. And they're not going to be growing too much more before the halving event. So we'll take a look at all their financials, see how they're stacking up. And one's a little bit better than the other one, but we'll take a look at it. And we'll call it a day, okay? So as always, this is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research, and I'm investing in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you guys are interested in this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out and helps out going forward. So let's take a look at Digihost really quick here. Digihost, like I said, reported their Q2 results. I looked through the press release. There isn't anything that we don't know already. So we'll just get into the data that I do have on them right now. And we'll pretty much call it a day for that one. And then we'll get into Sphere 3D as well. So Digihost right now has 28 million shares outstanding. Market cap is at about 46.9 million. I didn't update the prices today, the stock prices. This is as of yesterday. On those numbers, their current hash rate is about 913 petahash. Their future hash rate that we have right now is about 1 exahash. And we can see here that they do have a small hodl position, 19 Bitcoin as reported last time, valued at about 565,000 right now, going down to some of their quarterly metrics. We cover these metrics here in the monthly production updates. And then if we go down to the last 4 quarters revenue, so we can see here that they've been kind of up and down a little bit here over the last 4 quarters. Current quarter, I have it at 5.31. That's estimated. It's probably going to be less than that. And the reason for that is when they provide the BTC mine for the month, they're including other revenue that they have also for that. So it's just not for their self-mining as well, which I learned that today based on the numbers that they provided as far as what their revenue was and how many Bitcoin they mined. So we'll get into that in a little bit here. But they mined, the revenue was 5.87 million in Q2. I have them at, let me see here. I think I had them at a little bit higher than that. Or 5.82 was the total for the combined for energy, I think also was included in there. And that's what I had here at 5.82. But for the self-mining, they were at 5.3 million, okay? And then they reported only 191 Bitcoin, whereas I had them with, let me see here, I think I had them at 208, yeah. So that's the difference there. That's why I'm off on this, because I was using the Bitcoin numbers that they provided each month, which also included the energy, I believe, revenue from that as well. And that's why I was off by 8.7% on them, okay? Now, quarterly operating costs have stayed the same here from Q2 to Q1, pretty much 6.6 million compared to 6.5 million. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin did increase here a little bit to 13.95 thousand per Bitcoin compared to 13.29. Bitcoin mines quarterly, like I said, 191. I had them at 208. This is what they reported. That has been kind of flat here over the last 4 quarters. If you, average it out, they were at 202 Q3 of last year. Q1 of this year, they were down 168. They're back up to 191 here. So they're kind of getting back up a little bit, and that's because their hash rate has improved a little bit. Debt to equity has risen here over the last 3 quarters, or 2 quarters really. This one we want lower numbers, which would represent better debt to equity ratios. Current ratio has also been coming down here, which isn't good. We want that to be above at least 1. That means that they don't have enough current assets to pay off current debt, basically. Okay. Total current assets is down to 3.4 million from 3.43 million. Total current liabilities has been increasing here to 5.3 million. So that's why we have that ratio here for the current ratio. And going down here into the actual numbers, we'll get back into these metrics here after we cover some of the, we'll cover the financial results. So total current assets went actually down to 3.39 million compared to 3.42 million. Biggest change on that was probably the cash and cash equivalents. That was down to 282,000 from 821. That was a contributing factor on it, and that's probably what the difference on that is mainly. Total assets is down to 50.8 million from 51.9. The biggest change here was probably, property and equipment just went down basically about 1 million there. That's basically what the difference is there. Everything else kind of balanced out itself. Total current liabilities is now up to 5.3 million from 4.9. And biggest change there was accounts payable And what else do we have here that kind of changed quite a bit here? I mean, that's it. That's the biggest thing that really changed there. And that one, total liabilities is now at 13.5 from 13 million. So up basically 500,000 in that one. And everything else pretty much stayed pretty close to where it was. Obviously, a little bit of an increase there, but not much. So total stockholder equity is now 37 million compared to 38.8 million. Revenues, here's the revenues that we got. So self-mining was 5.356. That's what I used up on my table above. And the total revenue was 5.8, and that also includes sale of energy, which was 513,000 this time around. Like I said, they're also including Bitcoin equivalents to that when they report, it looks like. That's why my numbers were off on it. Okay. Expenses, cost of power went up to 2.6 from 2.3, so that's not too bad. Other production costs doubled pretty much here to 357,000 from 183. Depreciation went down to 3.0 million from 3.2, so that's fine. Minor lease agreement is gone now, looks like. Cost of power plant operations increased to 513. And let's see here. Yeah, so that's basically almost a double there as well. Gross profit percentage was negative 12. If we take out depreciation, it was a 32.93%, so that is a nice increase from the negative 5.13% that they had in Q1. Operating expenses as well have gone up quite a bit. Office and administrative expenses went up to 814,000 from 467, almost a double there. Professional fees went up also to 434,000 from 373. Regulatory fees actually went down, so that's good there. Foreign exchange gain was down 1.2 million from 47 million negative. Loss on sale was also down negative 58 from 873,000. But then we had other income here of 83,000 here. Looks like that was much higher than the 6.8 thousand that they had. Change in fair value owing for minor lease agreement, so that's down to 42,000 from 255,000. So that's good there. Share-based compensation went up to 481,000 from 401. That's not too bad, but still don't like that. Loss of revaluation went down to negative 64 million compared to 10 million there. And it looks like total other income expense was way up here, 3.1 million compared to 872 million. Can't speak. 872,000 on that one. Okay, so income loss before income taxes, they had a loss of 3.8 million compared to 3.3, so that's not good there. Revaluation of warranty and warrant liabilities was actually up 596,000 compared to a negative 5.6 million there. Net financial expense was down to 24,000 from 159,000. So that's good there. And let's see, income loss from outstanding from continuing operations was actually 3.3 million from 9.0 million from Q1. So that's good there. Net loss came in at 3.3 million compared to 9 million. So that's good. And let's see here. What else do I have here? Okay, so total comprehensive income for the period was negative 2.1 million. They had a foreign currency translation adjustment of 1.1 million compared to only 49,000, so that helped out there. And their basic and diluted share loss was negative 12 cents. But if we take out minus depreciation for comprehensive income, we're looking at negative 243,000 compared to negative 5.8 million, excuse me, or a loss of 1 cent compared to a negative loss of 21 cents. Okay. So they are burning through cash, it looks like, getting things up and running. And based on those numbers, we can take a look at it here. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin minus depreciation was at 13.9, like we talked above. They had 13.2, so that, I mean, slight increase there, about what, 600,000 or so. Debt to equity, we talked about. Current ratio, we talked about. You got the book value here of equity, 37 million. Price to book ratio, 1.257. Enterprise value of 41.2 million, and then the beta, which I just look at, I just basically take out the depreciation part of things, and that came in at 815,000 negative compared to negative 93,000 here. So that is an increase there for the prior period, and then EV to a beta was negative 50 here because we're still negative on it. And then let me see here, comparing general administrative compensation to revenue, it's at 22%, looks like right now. So that's not too bad. I'd like to see that below 20, if not lower than that. But that's kind of what we have right now. And then shares outstanding is being reported as 28,600. And I believe we are using that on top 20. Yep. So that's being updated already on that one. With all of that said and done, I mean, look at the quarterly results here on the graphs. We can see that debt to equity has been increasing. Current ratio has been decreasing. So that's not good there. Their current assets have been going down. Total current liabilities have been coming up, so that's also not good. We'd like to see those reverse. We'd like to see the total current assets going up and total current liabilities going down if possible. Plus, they really need to grow quite a bit more here before the halving event. Right now, their efficiency isn't too bad as far as miners are concerned. They're about 29 joules per terahash, which is pretty good. You want the miners to be below 30 or below come halving event based on the calculations that I've done, some others have done as well. That's kind of like the sweet spot where you want to be below that. The more below you are, the 30 joules per terahash, excuse me, the better off you're going to be. And then looking where they are right now, they're supposed to be, based on my evaluation, $1.76 to $2.64. They're $1.64. They're pretty close to being fairly valued as it is right now. And depending on how much they grow going into the halving event, I know that they want to add more miners and everything else. They're building out. They got the power plant in New York and everything else. So they're working towards that goal, but it's a slow process for them. And they've been definitely burning through cash to get to that. Okay, so we'll have to see. Let me know what you guys think of them. Like I said, they are one of the smaller miners here. These guys are going to have a tough time after the halving event, being profitable, everything else. Depending on where Bitcoin goes and how long it takes it to get into new all-time highs and everything else, it might be a couple of tough months for them after the halving event. Okay, so that's it for that one. Let's take a look at Sphere 3D here as well. So Sphere, I looked through the results also. They've had a nice increase here over the last year. They were at like 100 petahash last year. They're at 1 exahash right now. They had a tough year last year. Finally started turning things around, getting miners plugged in and everything else. So let's take a look at their numbers here as well. And then we'll look at the markets really quick, see what's going on there with Bitcoin and the miners as well. And we'll call it a day. So if we look at Sphere, all the way over here. Let's see here, where's Sphere? There. Okay, so Sphere has 11.9 million shares outstanding. Stock price is at $2.09. Market cap is at 24 million. So even lower than where Digihost is right now. They have a current hash rate of 1.1 exahash. Their future hash rate is supposed to be 1.8, which is pretty good growth still for them, being how small they are. BTC HODL, they have about 10.2 Bitcoins right now, valued at about 299,000. And we always cover these metrics here in the monthly results. These are the ones that we really want to look at here as the last 4 quarters of revenue, self-mining. This has been increasing nicely here for them. 5.48 million is what it's estimated for this current quarter. If Bitcoin stays where it's at, network hash rate stays where it's at, they mine the same amount each month. This is kind of what I'm looking at. So it would be an increase over Q2. But then a nice increase here, obviously, in Q2 over Q1, which is what we want to see. Last 4 quarters, operating costs, self-mining, have been also increasing. You can see that's pretty high up there. It's 4 million. Compared to 5.48 million, so that's what going to be 75, 80%, something like that. Of it goes to self-mining on the cost side of things. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin minus depreciation has gone up here to 22.84. We'll double check this number here. The prior quarter was at 17.82 thousand. Bitcoin mined has also been growing each quarter here ever since Q4, which is good to see. And then as long as they can continue to install miners in the coming months, that should help them out even more. Debt to equity ratio, lower is better. That has been increasing here, so that's also not good here like we saw with Digihost. Current ratio also has been decreasing, which is now down to 0.65. We'd like to see that above 1, meaning that they can't pay their current liabilities with the current assets they have on hand. And here you can see the current assets have been coming down each quarter, so they're definitely burning through cash. Q2, they're at 4.68 million compared to Q1 of 6.3, and then their current liabilities has been increasing to 7.16 million in Q2, up over 2 million here since Q1 as well. So that's also not good. So that's some concern there. Okay. They reported, let me see here, was it 4.966 million? Yeah. I think that's what they reported totally for the revenue here, right? Yep, 4.97, 4.96. So I was pretty close to that, within 0.7% of what they reported. So that's good there. We'll get into these numbers here after we go through the assets part of things. Assets decreased to 4.6 from 6.3 like we talked about. Biggest change here was cash. I mean, they only have $506,000 in cash left. If we look at some of their expenses, they're going to be burning through that relatively quickly here. They're going to be probably diluting or something like that, or selling all of their Bitcoin that they do have to pay the operation side of things. Digital assets has increased here a little bit here to 626,000 from 509,000, so that's good. Restricted cash is about flat. Accounts receivable is up a little bit to 148 from 139,000, and then other current assets increased to 3.1 million from 2.6 million. So that's good there, but overall, their total current assets did decrease here, which isn't good. Total assets is actually down to 71 million from 74 million. Biggest change here is mining equipment net, and then intangible assets went down a little bit along with funds held in trust account, went down to 8.5, and then other assets actually increased to 20.6 million from 18.3 million. So total assets is 71 million. Liabilities is up to 7.1 million from 5.14. Biggest change here was accounts payable. Accrued liabilities also actually went down. And then we had some other ones. Warrant liabilities added, deferred revenue also added in here, and other current liabilities went up to 1.3 from 1.2 roughly million. Total liabilities increased to 12.8 from 10.6, and that was based on an increase of deferred revenue long term, 801,000 that was added in there. And what else? Actually, that stayed the same. So a little bit of an increase, but not too bad. Then we have, let's see here, total Sphere, total stockholder equity is at 27 million, so that's down from the 29 million that we had in Q1. And here's the revenues part of things. The revenues for digital mining increased to 4.9, almost 5 million, so that's good from the 2.5, so that's almost a double what we had in Q1, so that's good. Total revenues went up to 5.4 million from 3 million, so that's also good, like I said. And then costs, expenses. So expenses came in at 4 million compared to 1.9 million, so those doubled as well. Cost of digital mining revenue went up to 4 million from 1.9 million. Cost of service and product revenue, that was down actually to 209,000 from 298. Sales and marketing, that was actually up a little bit to 277 from 274. Research and development, I don't know why they have research and development. Sales and marketing, same thing. They're a Bitcoin miner. Who are they trying to sell their mining equipment to? It's always funny when I see that kind of stuff. You're a Bitcoin miner, you shouldn't have sales and marketing. General administrative was up to 3.6 million from 3.4. So you can see here, if you just add their general administrative and their cost of digital mining, I mean, you're right there. You're at 7.6 million, and they've only generated 5 million. So I mean, you're in the negative right there as it is. So they got to cut costs to make things work. Either that or Bitcoin really has to go up quite a bit here for them to be profitable. Depreciation amortization was up a little bit here to 1.3 from 1 million. Realized gain in sale. Let's see what else was. That was actually down. Impairment of digital assets. That was up a little bit here. And then total operating expense came in at 10. What is the 4 million here? Oh, that's just that part. Total operating expenses was 10.1 million compared to 6.7 million. So that's definitely an increase there. Loss from operations was a negative 4 million, 4.6 million from 3.7 million. So that's almost a million more. Gross profit minus depreciation came in at negative 3.3 million compared to negative 2.7. So that's still a negative on them on that account. And then interest expense was a new one here that was added. That was a 1,173,000. And they had interest income and other thing. I wonder, yeah, that was definitely up as well. Loss before income taxes was negative 4.7 from 3.48. Net loss was 4.6 from 3.43. And then net loss per share was 44 cents. So definitely higher than what it was in Q1. And then we also have the amount of shares. If we take out depreciation on the comprehensive income, we go down to 3.3 million. So that still would have been a loss of 30 cents on per share. Okay, big concern with them obviously is their cash burn. They're just burning too much cash. They need to cut their expenses, especially since they have a lot of the miners being hosted. They shouldn't be spending that much in general administrative, I would think. Definitely want to keep that a little bit lighter side of things. You want to go lean right now before the halving event. Okay, so cost to mine one Bitcoin, let's see here, 22, what are we doing here? Cost of digital mining revenue divided by the number of BTC mined times 1,000. Yeah, we're getting 22,000 for it. So that's kind of what it is right now. We covered debt to equity, current ratio, we covered that. Book to value is 58 million right now. Price to book value 0.426. Enterprise value is 11.5 million. Beta negative 4.5 million. And then EV versus a beta, so that's negative 2.5 on that one. Okay. And then if we look at the revenue and compare that to general administrative compensation, that's at 70%. It has come down here, which is good to see, but still way up there. They really got to cut some costs there. Okay, so that's it for that. Based on my numbers here, where we're looking at, I have in between $2.87 to $4.31. They're still a little bit undervalued in my book, but because they're burning through so much cash, I think that's also a concern for investors there. That's why it's probably priced the way it is right now. Okay, so that is it. Like I said, we'll make this rather quick with these guys. Let me know what you guys think of them. If you guys are invested in Sphere, I know there was a lot of hype around them going back about a year or two. They were supposed to also merge with another miner, but that never happened. There's a lot of stuff going on with them, but I won't get into it here. All right, so that's it. Let's take a look at what's happening with the markets today and the miners, and we'll call it a day. So the miners, Bitcoin was actually down today. Let me see here. Was it down? I thought it was down today. Oh, I gotta get the weekly. On the weekly, it's down. Today, yes, it was down today. It was down 0.8% on the day, close to 29,170. You can see also the S&P was down, the Dow Jones was down, the NASDAQ was all down, over 1% on all of those. Like I said, that was from the fears from China's economy slowing down. So that's having an impact around the world. Bitcoin was actually down today. Like I said, Ethereum, I think, was also down today. Yep. So Ethereum was down 0.91% today. It was closed at 1,127. And then the miners were down also for the day as well, except for the two exceptions, which was BitDeer was still up to date 12.96%. If we look at that one really quick, you guys can see the numbers on the other ones here. So it kind of bounced back up to its weekly high, or last week, Friday high, and actually stayed there, which is kind of interesting to see. It's probably right now pretty well valued, in my opinion, or getting close to maybe being overvalued a little bit. Bitfarms, everybody else here was down. Big one that was down today was Greenwich. Greenwich was down quite a bit here, down 5.12%. There was some news that came out on Greenwich. They provided, what did they provide? Let's take a look at that really quick here as well. Let's see here. Miners, let's get into Greenwich here. Greenwich provided something as well. I think they provided complete expansion at South Mining Facility. Let's see here. Yeah, so they're also selling some land here to NY Dig. And so they're actually, estimated to eliminate remaining 22 million of secured debt by selling South Carolina mining site to New York Dig. So that's, I think, why the stock is down, actually. And then Greenwich expects to receive 4.9 million of cash, less certain costs, with potential to earn up to 2.6 million additional cash and bonus payments. Greenwich Generous reports second quarter. Yeah, so I mean, they haven't provided their updates at all for the productions monthly, so that's why they're in the doghouse for me. So that's why we're not really covering them, but just want to kind of point out possibly why it's down today. So that's why. Hive was down, Hut was down, Iris Energy was down, Marathon was down, Mawson was up just 8.33% today. We're still waiting on them to provide us with their monthly production update and their quarterly results, which I don't think they haven't provided that. Yeah, they're supposed to provide them possibly here, it looks like, on, when is that going to be? That's going to be on Monday of next week, possibly. Riot was down, Soluna was down, Stronghold was down, TerraWolf was down also. Everybody was down quite a bit here today. So it was a down day all across. WGMI was also down as well. So we'll have to see what happens later on this week. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, we're getting into the fall here pretty soon. We're already halfway through August. And then we're getting to, obviously, September. So we're getting to spring or fall season. Bitcoin usually does a little bit better in the fall here coming up. So we'll see how that's going to translate into things. And then we'll see how the economy does. Everything is just, a lot of things are up in the air right now. Bitcoin trading sideways. So we'll see. All right. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. Spreadsheet, as always, available to my Patreon members there. And that's going to be updated tonight. Tomorrow, we'll possibly do a video on, like I said, the metrics for the miners as far as petahash or exahash versus market cap, Bitcoin versus market cap. We'll do some metrics to see which ones are still undervalued, which ones are overvalued, which ones are kind of fairly valued based on that. That's one of the metrics that we use. We have a lot of metrics that we use here, but that's one of them that we also use. So we'll go over that possibly tomorrow because I think that's all we're going to have as far as quarterly results. So we may get into that tomorrow, unless something else pops up. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night. I'll see you guys tomorrow.